I get a referral for a client and I didn't have enough money for gas. So I have to ride my bike 5 miles across town in July in the heat. And I have to figure out like, what am I going to wear that I can look professional and ride a bike and not be super sweaty? I get to the coffee shop early to let the sweat dry off. And unfortunately, the client also arrives early and he introduces himself to me at the counter as my credit card is being declined for a $2 cup of coffee. And in 2022, I realized that I was just feeling very overwhelmed by having so many projects going all at once. Initially, I thought that I should let go of the podcast and the coaching and pour all my energy into the mortgage business. But 6 months later, in October of 2022, I'm standing on the stage and I'm leading everybody through an exercise. And the exercise goes like this. You grab a piece of paper and you write down, I wish I could, and fill in the blanks. Whatever comes up for you is sort of that wish that's on your heart. Let it come out and then listen for your brain to activate with the word but.
Hola, hola, ¿cómo estás, Gaby? Buenas tardes, ¿cómo van?
Noches o días, donde sea que nos escuchen. Está en un episodio más de Real Estate Talks. Muchas gracias por sintonizarnos. Les recordamos que tenemos un episodio nuevo cada miércoles, donde sea que nos escuchen, ya sea si tienen que picarle la campanita de subscribe o al follow o cualquier sea que sea la notificación, síganos porque así saben cuándo sale el siguiente podcast. También si quieren mandarnos cualquier información o cualquier tópico o tema que quisieran que habláramos, siempre nos pueden escribir a hola@lalegaby.com.
Así es, Gaby, pues muy contenta de tener otro episodio más con Erin Bradley. Te voy a dejar que la presentes, pues al final Erin llegó a nosotros a través de ti. Hola, Erin, bienvenida.
Hola, gracias por tenerme aquí. Estoy muy emocionada de compartir tiempo con ustedes.
Erin
Platícanos
la
un poquito de
conocí,
Erin, Gaby.
sí, Erin la conocí por un grupo que tenemos en común que se llama Go Abundance para Women. La conocí en uno de los eventos que tuvieron aquí en Austin. Erin vive en Colorado, vive en Winter Park y tiene una
Winter Park,
carrera
precioso.
muy interesante porque ha abarcado muchísimo de lo que es real estate por muchísimos años. But Erin, really, really thank you so much for being here, for giving us some of your time. I know time is precious, and start by telling us how did you started in this business? How did you start in real estate? Which area of real estate? How long ago? And how you fall in love with it?
Okay, so I'll start by saying, antes de trabajar en real estate, estaba viviendo en España, en Barcelona. Era profesor de inglés, ganando muy poco dinero, menos de $1,000 por mes, cash under the table, y
¿Cómo
viví con dos
sobrevivías?
uruguayos. So, si
Ujú.
mi acento es muy confundido, es porque viví en España con uruguayos, pero luego mi primer trabajo era en hipoteca y una compañía latina, todos colombianos, venezolanos, mexicanos y yo. Así que podía aprender más en español, escuchando la gente hablando profesional. Y lo que pasó es que la gente que estaba vendiendo, que 100% comisión, venían a la oficina vestido en jeans, en el t-shirt y haciendo yoga en el medio del día y después ponieron sus, suits. They put on their suits and then they go to closing and they come home with a big check. And I thought, okay, this is the life for me. I want the freedom. I want the freedom. I want to be
Was that in Colorado or somewhere else?
in Denver, yeah, in
Never.
Colorado. Yeah, so I always had this desire to be able to work from anywhere and have the freedom to travel. I lived in Spain, but I also lived in Ireland and I've done a lot of traveling. So I thought I'm going to be self-employed. This is going to be great. So in 2007, perfect timing, right?
Yes.
I get my license. Well, I go 100% commission in the mortgage side of the business. And I had no financial safety net. I was broke financially and I fell flat on my face. I hated sales. I hated feeling salesy. I didn't even want to tell my friends what I did for a living. So by the summer of 2008, the market's crashing. I'm tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt. And I get a referral for a client, and I didn't have enough money for gas. So I have to ride my bike 5 miles across town in July in the heat. And I have to figure out, like, what am I going to wear that I can look professional and ride a bike and not be super sweaty? So I get to the coffee shop early to let the sweat dry off. And unfortunately, the client also arrives early, and he introduces himself to me at the counter as my credit card is being declined for a
Mm.
$2 cup of coffee. And I'm like, oh my God. So I didn't know what to do because I thought that was the card that would work. So I just lied and I was like, that's so weird. That's my debit card. I'm going to have to call the bank. And he bought my coffee. And I was just so embarrassed. So anyway, we have the meeting. I got the client. So good news is I got the client. But I called my dad for advice after that. And I just said, this is so much harder than I thought. Being 100% commission is so much harder. And honestly, I really hated feeling salesy. So I was struggling with a lot of the old sales tactics. And he just said to me, do you think you're going to be good at this someday? And I was like, I think I could be. I don't have any evidence to say that I will be, but I think I could be. And he's like, okay, just do whatever it takes. And so I opened another credit card. I bought internet leads in 2008, whatever that means, and then hired my first coach. And, now that I'm a full-time coach, I hear a lot of people say, I can't afford it. And I look back and I think to myself, I couldn't afford not to. Like I was desperate. And I told the coach, I'm desperate. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. And so I did. I started, following the plan and it worked. I was getting deals, but there was still something missing. Like I felt like I was playing role, like dressing up in the female suit at the big desk and making the calls. And I finally, it wasn't until 2011 that I read the book, The Go-Giver.
I
And
love
I don't know,
it.
have you ladies read that?
Yes, I love it.
I haven't.
Yeah,
I
it
have the
changed.
hard book, I mean, like the hard copy and the Audible. Yeah.
Yeah, it totally changed my life because what I realized in reading The Go-Giver, which everybody should read, the concept is that the goal is to give more in value than you hope to receive in payment or be of value above and beyond what you get paid to do. And I thought about it because the previous 4 years, every action I was taking was so that I could get, right? I have to do this, make the calls, write the notes, see the people so I can get leads, get deals, get money, solve my problem. And it just felt really heavy all the time. Like it was just a lot of insecurity and a lot of resistance. And so when I read The Go Giver, I thought, well, if I want to be of value to my clients when they don't need my services, because once they close, they probably don't need your services for another 3,
Mm.
5, 7 years. I just decided I'm going to build a referral directory of resources of other service providers. So if you're an investor, it's like you need a property manager, you need a financial advisor, you need a tax professional, you need an estate attorney to help you with your will. You need so many other service providers. So I built this strategy and I started teaching it to real estate agents and other business owners. And I just found that I wasn't alone. And what happened was my business exploded, which was great initially, but I found myself just working 24/7, a complete
But
slave.
so first you were a mortgage broker, right? And then you became a realtor after.
No,
Or
I stayed in mortgage and we started investing in real estate and I started training real estate agents on the strategies that were working for me.
got it. And
And
lending.
initially, when the business first blew up in 2011, I was making more money than I ever expected, which was great, but I was pregnant with my second child and I was working 24/7. And so
Mhm.
I actually almost quit the business, but I got some great coaching on how to scale it. And so I started teaching realtors how to scale their businesses. And everything I learned, I was teaching. And I was a teacher before I got into the mortgage space. So I just realized that I don't have to be great at sales. I can be great at giving value. I can be great at contribution. I can be great at loving people authentically and finding ways to be a resource. And I learned how to scale the business and started teaching others what I was doing. And that's where Pursuing Freedom was born, which just later became the name of my book and my real estate podcast. So the idea is that I didn't feel free when I was stressed out financially, and I didn't feel free when the money was good, but I was miserable. And so, what I'm passionate about now is helping people implement systems and scale so that you can grow your business exponentially without sacrificing your sanity exponentially, right? And that there is a world in which you can have both. You can have a growing, thriving business, and you can have time freedom. And so, yeah, that's kind of the whole story in a nutshell. It just led me to what I'm passionate about now, which is teaching full time and helping real estate professionals create businesses that really fuel your life instead of just like work sucking the life out of you.
How was that the moment when you have, okay, like I'm sure it was a burnout and probably years of being burnout before you decide, okay, that's it, I'm selling. from selling my business and jumping into this new adventure. I understand that moment when you were totally broke and you was like, okay, I'm gonna ask my last resource, I'm gonna hire this coach because you pretty much didn't have any other option. Fast forward, you have this amazing business who is producing a lot that you are going to give up on or actually sell it, probably give you a lot of money for it, but then to start a new adventure. It feels that that moment is a little more risk taken or more like a huge decision in your life because you built this baby from zero to where it is right now. And I'm sure knowing you and know how much you care about people, you probably built an amazing team, and it was not only leaving the business but leaving your team behind. Just tell us a little bit about that decision process.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was actually standing on a stage at a real estate conference in Maryland in 2022. And at this point, my mortgage business had been compounding and growing. And I actually hired some of my loved ones. I hired one of my best friends, and then I hired a woman that was my nanny for 2.5 years, who then became one of the most valuable players on my team. Another one of my friends, who was my next door neighbor, hired her. And so you're right. It was a really scary decision. And to be honest, while I was launching the podcast in 2018, that led me to coaching. So I started coaching loan officers and real estate agents. And I was also traveling to speak on stages at conferences. We were also investing in real estate. And in 2020, we actually did a 6-month RV road trip and homeschooled our kids. And we were in this tiny little RV, and I'm running a mortgage business, a podcast, a coaching business. I'm a homeschooler. I mean, we're buying properties in different states. We were buying some Airbnbs and things like that. And so I was just doing way too much. And in 2022, I realized that I was just feeling very overwhelmed by having so many projects going all at once. Initially, I thought that I should let go of the podcast and the coaching and pour all my energy into the mortgage business. But 6 months later, in October of 2022, I'm standing on the stage and I'm leading everybody through an exercise. And the exercise goes like this. You grab a piece of paper and you write down, I wish I could, and fill in the blanks. Okay. Whatever comes up for you is sort of that wish that's on your heart, and let it come out, and then listen for your brain to activate with the word but. So I wish I could, what? I wish I could go to Europe for the summer, but who's going to cover my business? I wish I could stop working weekends, but I can't because the nature of the business. I wish I could. There's so many wishes we have that we don't even want to say out loud because our brain is so powerful to talk us out of it because of fear. And whatever follows but is fear. And it's okay. It's part of the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
If we're willing to get intimate with it, we can evaluate and say, is it true? Now, up until that point, we had bought a condo in a ski town in Colorado called Winter Park. We were living in Denver. I was running my business there. And in 2015, we bought the condo up here. Well, we felt like we wanted to live here, but we didn't. I felt like I couldn't. I felt like I couldn't because my business was in Denver, right? Like I wish I could live in Winter Park full time, but I can't because my business is in Denver. And our oldest was in kindergarten, and we were talking about moving here when the kids grow up. I'm like, that's in 15 years. We don't know. Nobody knows how much time we've got. So why not now? And so we went through all the things and we moved here. And as a result, my business actually doubled because I opened another office here. So it was one example of like how our fear can be wrong, right? Our fear can be lying to us because our brain is trying to protect us all the time. And it just kind of continued like that. As I hired people in my business, it was like, I wish I could stop having my phone ring and be on call all the time, but I have to, right? That's a story. It's a fear. And so as I took chances over the years, it started to empower me to want to coach others that we can work with fear, we can get curious about it, and we can make decisions in spite of it. So here I am on this stage at this conference doing this activity with all these real estate professionals, and I can hear myself not listening to my own advice. Because in my soul, there was a wish I could make pursuing freedom my full-time work, my life's work, to be teaching others to listen to your fear and not allow your fear to dictate your reality, to not play small, to not make excuses for why you're not living your life with intention and taking chances in spite of the fear. So I heard my brain say, I wish I could leave the mortgage business, but everybody will hate me, right? My
No, and
fear of
then you
letting
will need
people
like at
down.
least, I mean, I can imagine, sorry for the interruption, but there's always a but, and there's always excuses or reasons why that but has to be there. Like,
Right.
so I can imagine you saying, okay, yes, but this is my source of your main source of income, probably, right? Because
Yeah, oh
we
yeah.
all know that real estate investing takes growth. It's over time. It's not like you're gonna live by on your rents like fast. Like it's something that takes time. That it's more for the future. So how did you overcome that? Like those bots, how did you take that leap?
Honestly, I can't, there's two factors, and one is financial. So let's talk about that one real quick. So over the years, we bought very inexpensive properties and we were lucky. Okay. We bought our first place in Denver for $95,000 and we lived in it. And then it was a little one bedroom. And when our son was 5 months old, we kept that and we moved into the next primary residence. And it was a small little 3 bedroom. And we lived in that for about a year and a half until I was pregnant with number two. And then we bought the third house. And they were all inexpensive before Denver blew up and became what it is, right? So we held on to all of those. We bought our first for 195,000. And again, we got lucky. We sold that 13 months later for 295 and it still had wooden toilet seats and wood paneling. Like we did nothing to it. But eventually we bought a property for 950 and that was our big stretch property, like our dream home, our forever home. Well, 4 years later, one of my realtor friends told me she would list it for like 2.23. And I was like, what? I mean, I'm what?
What
What?
year was this?
This was 2022.
But
Wow.
then you had to find something in 2022.
Which was that was the yeah, that was the challenge. So it's crazy because there was a property on the market at the time next door to our friends, and it would have been a massive downsize, but we would have been able to buy it in cash. And so we talked about it and we were like, why not? You know, at this point, I mean, my 15-year-old has lived in 8 houses. So this is the game we play, right? And so I look at my husband because what happened was we never listed it. I told a couple realtors, hey, if you had a buyer that wanted a house like ours, and it's a really small town, and we bought from some well-known people, so everybody knew our house. And 3 days later, the realtor calls me and says, I just showed this couple 11 homes, and I think yours is what they want. And they came to the house while we were there. It wasn't even clean. And they gave us a cash offer
No
with a
way.
free 2 month post occupancy and like no inspection objection. No, I mean, it was crazy. And I look at my husband, I'm like, are we insane? We're going to sell this house and we don't know where we're going to go. And in the end, we ended up renting from some friends who built a brand new house on 35 acres. And then they went to Europe for the school year. And we ended up finding this house, which is the house I'm in is exactly what we wanted in the neighborhood we wanted. And we bought it in 2023. So anyhow, that had already happened. We were living in the rental. And a few months later, I was on that stage in Maryland.
Mhm.
And I came home to my husband and I said, I think the whisper just became a roar, like, if not now, when? But
Hmm.
my fear was 100% letting people down. My fear of what people would think was the most difficult fear for me to face because I felt like I was going to be abandoning them. They were going to be disappointed in me. And I think that's one of the deepest rooted human
The
fears.
people in your business, the people that you had
Yeah.
brought into the
The
mortgage
team.
business, those people
Yeah.
you were
My
afraid to let
team
down? Okay.
my team. And I had just moved my team to be a joint venture
Mm.
with a 400-person real estate company, and I was really good friends with the owners. So I also had created a business partnership. So I had to walk away. I had to have this conversation with 7 people individually to say, this is what's happening. And you know what? My fear was wrong again.
They
Instead,
didn't hear you.
no, the response was, I'm proud of you and we are going to support you and we're going to refer you and we love you and this is not going to affect our friendship. And it was incredible. And so to this day I'm still in partnership with that company, but as a coach for the agents and lenders. So it's kind of fascinating again. And I don't think we ever outgrow fear. right? Because we're always on the leading edge of a desire that feels maybe unrealistic or maybe ridiculous or irresponsible or whatever. But that's the journey of life, right? It's growing and expanding. And so every time we feel called up to that next level version of us, it's going to feel scary because it's unfamiliar.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's becoming more interesting to be more curious about the unknown instead of being afraid of the unknown. And then just really listening to your brain because it's powerful and it's not accurate. It's not accurate. It's just your brain doing what your brain does to protect you.
I'm curious to know, and we ask this to everybody who is in the podcast because I mean you're in the industry of coaching realtors and loan officers. And real estate is cycles, and we are in this cycle right now with those fears are probably more prominent than other times. And even from our investors who are probably listening to the podcast are like, oh no, right now is the time where like we are not supposed to be investing. We're supposed to be retrieving and we're supposed to like fears take over because of the headlines. Because I mean, you see it probably in your coaching business. How do you help the probably realtors, loan officers, investors to see what is going on or what we decide to listen to the news or not, and process that and still being in a positive mind and in no being oblivious of it, no being like naive and no, I'm not going to watch the news because things are happening. Real estate is down. So, oh, I mean, at least it's not what it was in 2020, but overall it's an up trajectory like everything. But how do you help your people that you coach and navigate these type of environments?
Well, having been in the business since 2006 and having lived through 2008, 2009, you know, I'm not going to say that every investment that we had was a home run. I mean, we got into the Airbnb game late in 2021. I mean, I should back up because when we first moved to Winter Park in 2016, we put our house in Denver on short-term rental on VRBO, and it was bringing in 7, 8,000 a month. And it actually was more than my husband was making in his job working for a property management company. And I said, just quit your job. Who cares? Let's go live the life of our dreams. Like, I don't care. So we moved up here and then we had that short-term rental. And then we've done all the things. I mean, we turned our basement into a short-term rental. So we did the house hacking thing. When we did the 6-month RV road trip, we rented out our house here in Winter Park, and that brought, that was bringing in 7, 8,000 a month as well. So we did have a lot of success in the short-term rental market, but then we went and bought a property in the Smoky Mountains in 2021, and it was like we were at the tail end of that wave. And that we ended up selling that because it was just kind of okay. And I felt like we got out of alignment with what was working for us. So I think the key is, number one, when it comes to the news, it's not just the news on the TV. It's also the news of the conversations you're having with your peers. Okay. One of the things that I've learned in my experience is that our path and our decisions that have been the most successful have been the ones that felt aligned to us as individuals, investors, versus when I compare myself to what everybody else is doing and I go too far too fast. So everybody's buying short-term rentals in the Smoky Mountains. We should buy you know what I'm saying? We should go buy a property in Tennessee. That was not in alignment with us in our vision. It's not even a place we want to go visit. So why did we do that? Right. And so all that to say is I still believe in real estate. I still feel like if you have the reserves and that you can make the numbers work, then this is a great time to buy because buyers can negotiate for the first time in forever. So, and for sellers, like I feel like the unrealistic sellers who want to get that top dollar and don't listen to the real estate agent who says like, you've got to lower the price if you want to offload this property right now. And if you offload this property, you're going to make up for it on the purchase because you can negotiate on the purchase. So you may feel like you're losing on a sale, but you're going to gain it back on the purchase. Now, I just had a conversation yesterday with somebody who's got a property up for sale in Galveston, and it sounds like there's something like the numbers are incredible. The number of listings, nothing's moving, And I think that there's going to be people that experience a lot of loss in this season. And it's just like what happened in 2008, 2009. And if people are young enough to weather the storm, right, then hopefully it's going to be something they look back on and learn from. But there's no real perfect answer to that question, like it's a very personal thing. Even as we bought properties and we sold properties, there was a lot of intuition there. We had a property on South Padre Island, and it was bringing great tax benefits, but the insurance for the wind insurance and the flood insurance and the hurricane insurance and the property and casualty, honestly, the insurance was more than the principal and interest on the payment of the mortgage. And it was really difficult for us to actually cash flow that property. And so we decided to offload it. And when we did, we made a profit on it, thank God. And 2 weeks later, a hurricane came and flooded the island. So I feel like some of it is luck, right? But some of it is intuition, is like only you know your finances to know what is safe for you right now. But for those who can buy right now, I think it's going to be a great thing long term. Because I think if you can make the numbers work with where the rates are today, then if rates come down, it's only going to get better. You can refinance. And if they don't, you're still happy with the investment today.
Great. Great. So what are you, now that you see, and you are happy where you are, of course, in Winter Park, who wouldn't? But
Yeah.
what is the
I
future?
was
What
there
are you,
last year.
I know,
Snowboarding.
Lala loves that place. You've been there several times, right?
Yeah, and just once we go to Colorado every spring break, but we went to Winter Park last year, and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was. I mean, we had been to Breck, to Keystone, to Vail. I thought it was smaller, but I was impressed of the size. Like even like there's like the ski resort is great, and it has all levels, and the town it's quite big. Like we went one night like to bars and stuff with friends, and it was great. Yeah, I loved it.
Well, you have to call me next time because I can
Next
meet
time
you.
I will definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I
No.
have all the hookups for the free passes and know all the bartenders.
Yeah.
You are local, of course. But I mean, we know you live in paradise. You're living in your dream right now. And I'm sure as you fulfill your dream, I'm sure a bigger dream comes to you. And it's a human nature. What do you foresee happening, or what are you are seeing for like your podcast, your coaching is something that you finding to love and stay within? What are your future plans?
Honestly, it's so funny. I'm looking right at my vision board over here, and it says there's no place like unknown. And it also says, why not is a slogan for an interesting life.
I love it.
And I feel
Do
like
you do a vision board every year, or you have like your long-term vision board and then you tweak one thing or another?
that actually was because a friend of mine had a vision board party one time. And
Uh,
so I was like, sure, I like a party. Why not do a vision board, So no, I'm not super religious about the vision board, but I am pretty religious about writing out my like what comes up for me, my ideas, I don't want to say goals per se, because sometimes I feel like this might sound really strange and too spiritual, but I feel like the opportunities are so infinite and so limitless that sometimes if we get too hung up on defining what the outcome is going to be, we actually we restrict it. We limit what's actually possible to receive. So, I mean, we daydream about all kinds of things. I think my husband and I will probably end up traveling a lot in an RV in the warmer climates when the kids are out of the house. But right now I'm in a season where my kids are 15 and 12, and they both play two travel sports at the same time, soccer and lacrosse. And so
your life, it's around that. I feel
100%.
you, yeah.
And I love it. I'm squeezing the juice out of right now. And what unfolds is probably going to be unscripted, because most of the things I've done, like, okay, I kayaked the coast of Mexico for a month with National Outdoor Leadership School right after college. And then right before I left for that, I heard about a 1 month program in Barcelona to get certified to be a teacher, to teach English as a second language. And I just signed up for that because I heard about it. And so then I went and did that. And then I lived there for 2 years. And then I came home, and then then there was an opportunity to move to Denver. And I said, why not? And
Are you
so
always like this? I mean, it's so inspiring to hear you, and it makes it's nice to hear this because there are things that one knows, but then life gets to you and responsibilities and kids and school stuff and financial whatever responsibilities in general. So how are you always like this mind, or you work on that in a conscious matter so you have this, because we are not like permanent human beings. Like how do
Right.
you keep this spirit?
Flowing. Yeah. It
Yeah, I
feels,
was gonna do Spanglish, but what, yeah, I should, right? Sí,
yeah,
sí.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
¿Cómo te mantienes motivada? How do you keep that mindset?
this I work on it for sure. This is the work. In my opinion, this is the work because I believe that we receive impulses constantly, but most often when we're in a state of peace and relaxation. And so what I think is interesting is when even the name of my book and my podcast being Pursuing Freedom,
What's the name
really
of the book again?
it's called Pursuing Freedom.
Pursuing Freedom by Erin Bradley. Yeah, is it in Audible, Amazon, or is it?
It's on Amazon. It's just a $10. It's $9, I think.
Okay.
It's a very short book, but it says be yourself, increase your referrals, and have more fun growing your business. So it's really geared towards those who want a referral-based business that feels easy and fun and authentic,
Mm.
and not super forced and salesy, but it works. So anyhow, the idea though is what is freedom? What does it even mean? If you think about what is it going to feel like when you've achieved everything that you are after? And if you really drop in and think about it, it's about the emotions, the feelings of ease, peace, present moments with our loved ones, engagement, contribution, connection, love, fun, joy, right? Bliss. So what if that's not really the destination, but we can access that within us today, right? So let's say you go on vacation and you're trying to unplug from your busy mind of all the things you're supposed to do and all the responsibilities. You try to go on vacation. Don't you find that you receive brilliant ideas sometimes when you're at the beach and you're unplugged, or maybe even business opportunities find you in the moments you're trying to unplug? It always happens with real estate agents and mortgage lenders. Like you go on vacation and the phone rings
Oh,
and it's
totally.
so annoying.
Always. Always. I told Chad, this month is slow. Maybe I should go on a vacation. So I
Mhm.
need my phone
Exactly.
to ring. Yeah. Hmm.
Exactly. So we call it inside my coaching program, how do you curate vacation energy? Like, how do you cultivate the feelings of ease and peace and present moments? And so many years ago, 10 years ago, I read The Miracle Morning and
Mhm.
by Hal Elrod, and I started to implement The Miracle Morning, and it changed my life. And if I'm honest, because my kids were 5 and 3 at that time, it was also like a checklist. Like I did my 10-minute meditation. Now I write what I'm grateful for. Now I do my exercise. Now I hurry up and get out the door and go. And I still felt anxious, even though I was doing the right things. Right. And so,
You were anxious because the mornings that you didn't get to do the things.
well,
No?
just always felt like rushing. Everything was rushing. Hurry up, go,
And
go,
then
go.
there's
There's so much
this
to do.
book tells you that if you cannot do everything in like the supposed amount of time, do 1 minute of each things, and you're gonna get the benefit. But you are, because I've been there, like, and then you're rushing
Yeah.
To the
in
next
everything.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so in 2020, when we were in this tiny RV, it's not like what you imagine a home on wheels. It's very small. There's no slides. It's like meant for a weekend of camping, not a home.
Mhm.
But whatever, it was fine. I had to surrender to the circumstances because I couldn't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning without waking everybody else up.
Hmm.
And I started to work on what I call the unbecoming. So for the past 5 years, unbecoming stressed and rushed and overconnected and overcommitted and overwhelmed. And of course, there's seasons where I find myself falling back into that. But the work is in recognizing that the clarity comes from slowing down. And in that state of clarity, you receive the impulses, the guidance, whatever you want to call it, that feels like the next right step. And it's the difference between forcing action as a band-aid to my fear, my uncertainty. Like if I feel worried or stressed out, I better go do something. Instead, if I feel worried or stressed out, I actually pump the brakes, slow down, and listen to meditations or podcasts or read something or write or just honestly journal, like get it all out of my head and onto paper, and then look at my calendar and make a plan for when I'm going to execute on the most important things. And one of my affirmations is I have all the time I need to accomplish what matters most. And the key words are what matters most, because we're so busy being busy that we don't realize we're wasting a lot of time and energy, and it's ineffective. So yeah, I changed my schedule years ago and say mornings are for me. I don't take appointments before 10 a.m. at the earliest, unless it's by exception, because it's such a great opportunity that I don't want to miss it and I'm willing to do something at a different time. That gives me from like 5 or 6 in the morning when I wake up and get the kids out the door till 10 o'clock to do as much time as it takes to focus on the light within me. If my light is dim or extinguished, then I do whatever it is that fuels me, which can look like walking in nature, skiing. I mean, I ski almost every day in the winter.
Ay,
And
qué envidia.
I do. I mean, in the winter, I move my appointments to 11:15 because the mountain opens at 9. But also, my girlfriends and I like to hike up in the morning at sunrise, and then you can ski before the lift is open. So there's lots to do. Anyhow, that to me fuels my soul. And if I feel my soul and I turn that light on, then everything changes in the way that I can show up in the world. And so I always just ask people, how do you want to feel? What everything you think you want is really about how you're going to feel when you have it. Like, I'm going to feel more relaxed when I have more money coming in. And then you have more money coming in and you're stressed out and overwhelmed. And you say, I'm going to feel more relaxed when business slows down. And then it slows down and we panic. And then I'm going to feel better when I'm going to feel better when. And it's like, what if we focus on how we feel and then we project that light, that energy, and we become more of a magnet to the opportunities? It's a little spiritual, but it's like business and spirituality intersect.
Amazing.
Totally.
And it's a mindset shift. Someone told me I'm a full-time real estate investor and I have a real estate fund, and I'm a realtor too, but I focus more on the fund. And someone told me maybe more than a year and a half ago, going back to what you were saying about, it's not that you are asking for money, you are showcasing opportunities, but it's not you're showcasing an opportunity because you want to sell. It's because when you think of doing good or how for this her or him or whatever person starting investing how you have done can change, and that shift in the mindset suddenly starts bringing in stuff. So right now I lo comparo at what you're saying. Sorry, we said Spanglish. So, because what you're saying right now is that you're focusing on yourself and bringing in that light, and then it's like the things are gonna turn around and the good is gonna come back somehow. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't express it as nice as you did, but
well, it's one of those things that maybe is hard for someone to hear and believe that they can give themselves permission to slow down, to get the clarity and the focus and the energy and the impact and everything. But the truth is that we have evidence all the time. Like, if you look at your life, even the last 12 months, chances are there's some new relationships in your life. It could be new clients, it could be new referral partners, a new friend, a new opportunity, a new anything, investments, something you bought and it did well, whatever. But there's things that have happened in your life in the last 12 months that have been great. And when you really look at it, how much of it was really scripted by you? Like, I mean, for example, we're here hanging out. We didn't make this happen. I didn't know that you existed. And then I went and hunted you down and solicited the opportunity. It's like the stars aligned and our paths crossed, and Gabby and I met and we had a great connection. And then she came on my show and now I'm here. But this is so wonderful. But isn't it beautiful to see that so many opportunities will find you when you're in your full energy and light and alignment, when you're just saying yes to opportunities because why not? It's like I said, why not is the slogan for an interesting life.
I love it.
Like
Going to adopt it. Why not?
yeah, going to Austin was like, I got invited to go to Austin. And I said, why not? I mean, why not? Sure. Say yes. Just say yes to life. And there's a science behind it, because if you can see how much of the opportunities that have found you in the moments that you were probably feeling the most relaxed, the most at ease, and all of a sudden the phone rang, you got an unexpected text message. You didn't hunt down and create and force everything that's become beautiful in your life. Okay. And when we can be a witness to that. We can't argue it. We can't unknow that's true. And so we can get a little bit more curious about the unknown instead of having to have it all figured out and be stressed out until we figure it out. Like,
Yes.
it's just two different frequencies to the same destination. We want the opportunities. We want the money flowing. We want the love in our lives. We want to feel energized and joyful and present. And we want to just live this epic life. But like, some of us try to make it happen, and we activate from a place of fear and stress and worry and doubt and shame and guilt. And it just feels heavy all the time, right? Like treading water, or
Hustling,
you just
hustling,
get on the
hustling.
raft and go down the river. It's going to be a big adventure, and it might be scary, but it might be really fun. And there's a lot of beautiful opportunities waiting right downstream. So if we give ourselves permission to get curious and lighten up a little bit, it's really kind of wild how quickly you start to see the opportunities, because you're giving yourself permission to let it in, let them find you, right?
And I think that's the key word you say, give yourself permission, because honestly, I think it's everything is us. Like we put these bars very high up on things we have to do and achieve, and we live in a culture that might not help with the hustler, hustler, hustler. And then on top of that, we're women, so we need to prove that we can be equal or more efficient than a man in the same position. And then for Lala and I, you add a layer of immigrant, and so you need to even work harder. But everything is in our minds. We are the ones putting those rules that you cannot relax, or you cannot slow down. So I love that you say two things: that you are giving permission to yourself, and also that is a training process of the mind. I mean, you've been doing it since your kids are 3 and 5 every morning, so it is a work every day that you have to put into it to see this, for Lala and I to see you just flowing, and why not, that energy that you, it's a great energy, and thank you so much for sharing it, but I know that you have put a lot of work behind it.
Well, this conversation just came up the other day with a friend of mine, and she's very, very successful. And she admitted that she's been struggling with some anxiety and depression and all this stuff. And so I started sending her a lot of the things that have been helpful for me over the years, because amidst all of this, raising kids and running businesses, my dad passed suddenly of a heart attack when he was visiting us here in Colorado in 2017. I've had several sudden losses of friends of mine. My mom has had a struggle. I mean, there's been a lot of tragedy amidst all of that. And so this is so much bigger than just like, how do we show up in our real estate business? This is how do we show up in the world when we're struggling and when we're in grief, or where we've had a massive failure. I mean, we had an investment that turned out to be a Ponzi scheme. I mean, we've had financial losses. Nothing. There's no version of us projecting all of our achievements and leading with our achievements and not being honest and vulnerable about the fact that we're all human and we all struggle with insecurity and fear and stress and overwhelm. And so that's not special. That's just human. And it does require the willingness. It's not about whether we can, it's the willingness to do the work. And when I shared with her that it sometimes takes me 2 or 3 hours to get the light on before I'm willing and able to deliver any value to the world, whether that's as a wife or a mom or a business owner. And she was so surprised to hear that. Like, she thought, oh, maybe you make it seem easy or something like that. I'm like, no, I'm just a human being, but I'm committed to how I feel. I genuinely know, it's not even belief. How I feel is everything. Energy is currency. Money is energy. It's all just an exchange of energy. And if we are depleted, especially as women, it's like our superpower is to give from an empty well. And it's because we care. Like, we are primally servant-hearted people. We are primally here to be the caretaker for everybody, to make sure everybody's good.
And
And
yeah, and then sometimes that is super overwhelming, because it's in our nature to give, to give, to give to the kids, to the husband,
yeah,
to this and that, and then to live up to certain expectations of the people of your team, of blah, 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 blah.
yeah. But I feel like in this work that I've done in the last 10 years, what I'm learning and what I'm a witness to is that it was an illusion, that I was doing my very best when I was running on fumes, overconnected and overcommitted and overwhelmed, like I said, because I was afraid to hire help. I was afraid to invest in myself. I was afraid to invest in my business. So I just say, yes, I'll do it all. I can do it all. It's fine. And it's like I said, it's our superpower. But the truth of the matter is, I really believe our clients deserve better. I think our friends and our loved ones deserve better. And I think that we are living an illusion when we are giving from an empty well with this light that's really diminished. It's almost extinguished. And we're still trying to share this little light, but it's like everything's coming through a filter of exhaustion. This is the thing I'm most passionate about, is this very thing is like, it is an illusion to think you're doing your very best when you are exhausted all the time, because we are dimming the ability to give the highest level version of ourselves. And the only way to change that is to reverse engineer how we show up in the world each and every day. And it does require practice. There's no finish line where all of a sudden you wake up and you're sunshine and rainbows every day, right? So with all that being said, I feel very certain that when I prioritize the light within me and how I want to show up today and how I want to feel and how I want to impact the world, I'm better. And everybody is better for it than the way I used to do it when I was burned out all the time and exhausted. So I just think that like prioritizing how you feel is important. And guess what? It's not the external world's job to make you feel better. You're not going to feel better when. You have to claim it. You have to decide, my well-being is everything. My energy is my currency. And all of a sudden, that's why I say you're curating your vacation energy, because when you cultivate the feelings of joy and excitement that you have when you go on vacation, it's not random that you start to attract opportunities. The phone rings and these unexpected coincidences, synchronicities happen, and you meet really cool people along the way. And there's collaborations and there's business, and it's all there. It's just like waiting for us to plug in.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, Erin. Thank you so much for your time. We went a little over, but it was so fascinating what you were sharing that I couldn't interrupt before. But thank you for your time. Para todos los que nos escuchan, ya saben dónde encontrarla, Pursuing Freedom, el podcast, y cómprense el libro, súper vale la pena. Muchísimas gracias por tu tiempo, Erin, por estar aquí. Te tendremos de regreso pronto.
Gracias.
Gracias, Erin. Ha sido un placer tenerte, la verdad. Una sesión de terapia
Sí,
sin
lo sentí
interrupciones.
como
No,
terapia personal.
ya sé, ya mira, ya, todas mis notas. Muchas gracias, Erin. Yo soy Lala Elizondo
Y yo soy Gaby Proctor.
y esto fue
Real Estate Talks.
Si llegaste hasta aquí es porque te gustó la información y estás interesado en invertir en real estate en Estados Unidos.
Para esto hemos creado un entrenamiento que te va a simplificar este camino, ya sea que seas un inversionista por primera vez o que seas un inversionista sofisticado.
En la descripción de este episodio está la liga que te llevará a este entrenamiento.
O bien búscanos en Instagram como @invierte con Lala y Gaby y comenta con la palabra invertir en cualquiera de nuestras publicaciones y así te mandamos la liga a este entrenamiento.
Muchísimas gracias por habernos escuchado. Nos vemos en el siguiente. Escucha un episodio nuevo de Real Estate Talks cada semana.
En tu plataforma favorita para escuchar podcasts.
Ponte en contacto con nosotros en lalaagaby.com.